Hi, I'm Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
In October, the Port of South Louisiana will sign a memorandum of understanding with the National Port Administration of Cuba to help promote trade between our state and the island nation. That's according to the Port of South Louisiana Executive Director, Paul Oquan.
Oquan was one of about 100 people from Louisiana on a special trade mission to Cuba, including me and Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Dr. Mike Strain. This trip was important for trade because it made sure both sides knew exactly what the other is doing. Every dancer at the List Alfonso Academy in Cuba knows what the person next to them is going to do. When they'll stomp, when they'll slide, all with a childlike glow. And with moves like these, they know what the audience will do as well. Dance partners are only successful through practice, cooperation, and knowing what the other is doing. The same can be true for trade partners. That's why these members of the Louisiana Trade Delegation to Cuba are visiting the brand new port at Marial. Opened in January of 2014, the Marial port now handles more than 330,000 vessel calls a year and is taking over all of the cargo which used to go to Havana. Charles Baker is the general director of the port.
Trade is starting to grow. We saw 40% growth last year. We're seeing so far 11% growth this year. A lot of that fueled by the tourists that are coming in. And so it's nice to see that this baby that we thought about a few years ago and we've seen grow up and develop is now really starting to take shape and fulfill its role in the Cuban economy.
Baker hopes this port is a player in the world economy. He says by next year, it will be set to receive the largest cargo ships in the world, the Neo-Panamax vessels.
We knew that Cuba needed these new modern facilities in order to regenerate its economy and to have the ability to import and export smoothly goods into and out of the country. And so we helped them to design a very, very modern, state-of-the-art, large container port facility to take the largest container ships that will start to circulate now that the new Panama Canal has opened.
What you will not see at this port is a lot of cargo originating from Louisiana. Baker says the U.S. trade embargo with Cuba is the reason for that.
As soon as those things start to change, I'm certain that we are going to see regular shipping services between New Orleans and Mariel, and that's very, very exciting for us.
Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry Dr. Mike Strain noticed there are lots of containers at the port and more than 1,000 receptacles for refrigerated containers, but no way to move grain off of a ship.
There are no bulk facilities here, or really we didn't see any in Havana either at that harbor. So for now, until there are bulk facilities or warehouses, everything's got to come in by container. This type of information is very important because as we came down here, we were really thinking about bulk cargo, loading ships, bulk ships with cargo, and then coming here to unload them. As you see now, and this is the new super port for Cuba, that's really right now is not an option, so it's going to change our methodology.
We don't need embargoes, we need markets.
David Bertrand is a rice farmer and rice buyer from Elton, Louisiana. He came to Cuba more than a decade ago, but he'd like to see trade move back to what it was like nearly a century ago.
60% of Louisiana's rice used to come here pre-revolution. So the demand's there, and we're so close, and we produce a great product, and we're producing more and more. We need this market.
Louisiana Farm Bureau First Vice President Jim Harper also grows rice.
They import 80% of their food. We do have a good potential to sell rice to Cuba if we can get the restrictions on financing lifted, so we can do business with them.
We know the embargo is going to be lifted eventually. It's just a matter of time. So both sides are getting set and prepared for that day when it comes, laying the groundwork, and it can't come soon enough.
So again, a state and a country, both once ruled by the Spanish, can be like these two dancers, partners knowing exactly what the other expects. Congressman Rick Crawford of Arkansas went to Cuba in April. He reportedly has support for a bill that would remove financing restrictions on agricultural products, which would allow Cuba to buy rice, poultry, and grains on credit. That likely will not come up until after the presidential election.
As we've talked about, opening up trade with Cuba would be a big boon for Louisiana rice farmers and millers. Because the island nation is so close to Louisiana, it would draw more rice through our ports, which could prompt farmers to plant more rice. As TWILA's Neil Melancon shows us, rice farmers could use a break in the markets right now, as well as a break from the rain during this harvest.
There's still a lot of rice left to harvest in Tommy Fry's fields in Acadia Parish. He's ready to go, and so it's time to fire up the combine. Unfortunately, with all the rain he's been getting lately at his farm in Mawata, this combine is sitting still. Even though it's not raining right now, as he explains, he can't run the equipment until the fields have dried up. It's not an easy thing, as showers are falling every day during this harvest season, and right now, Fry still has about half his fields to go, which is about average for most farmers in his area. If there's any good coming from all this rain, it's brought an abundant rice crop at least.
And you can see a good quality, good grain, 2 false heads. But overall, I mean, the crop has been very good. Grain quality, I think, which we won't know till it's dried and milled. But, you know, everything seems to be fine for this year.
When Fry and other farmers bring their rice in, they're looking at flat market values, according to Mark Tall at the Louisiana Farm Bureau Marketing Office in nearby Crowley.
I think the price so far has been somewhat fair given the conditions that we're looking at. We have a lot of things to contend with, such as the economy and other things that play a big part of this.
One of those big things is the world market stage. Disappointing sales into other countries has put a damper on prices in recent years. With the spotlight now on reopening trade with Cuba, Tall says there's a lot of hope riding on the island nation once again being a major importer of U.S. rice.
That market means a big deal for Louisiana. In fact, we're positioned in a good spot. When Cuba does open up, I think we're set. We're ready to go.
For now, Fry is looking to the future, not just because he's waiting for fields to dry out, but because of his ratoon or second crop. Fry, like most farmers, makes his profit from the regrowth of rice, which is why it's so important not to leave ruts in wet fields.
We just don't cut it, reflood it, and put fertilizer on it and forget about it. I mean, we baby it just like that was babied. You know, it's time consuming, a lot of money goes into the second crop, but at the end, if we don't get a hurricane, it'll be worth it.
From Mawata, I'm Neil Melancon for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
The second harvest will begin sometime around October. While it's not as big as the first harvest, as Tommy Fry says, it generally puts rice farmers back in the black.
It all started with an idea: inspire the next generation of small, minority, or socially disadvantaged farmers to plant a seed in Morehouse Parish and beyond. As TWILA's A.J. Sabine shows us, since 2002, the Morehouse Parish Black Farmer and Landowners Association has inspired, informed, and excited young people in its community about the potential for success in agriculture.
Clad in his white farmer's shirt and trademark straw baseball cap, Morehouse Parish farmer Harper Armstrong confers with Virginia farmer P.J. Haney during a tech demonstration held as part of the Morehouse Parish Black Farmers and Landowners annual field day.
It records your application.
For association intern Cornelius Jackson, this field day reveals many potential ag opportunities for young people.
Before I came into this thinking about being a farmer and coming out here in the heat, I just wasn't for it at first, and then when I learned about how important it is and how much money you could really make in it, it just changed my whole outlook on it.
It's not taking any more substance from the cob.
For nearly 15 years, this small group of farmers and ranchers have tried to change the outlook of many young people, just like Cornelius Jackson. At this irrigation stop, Association Secretary-Treasurer Antoine Downs explains effective irrigation practices to visiting farmers all the way from Mississippi.
And this is 200 bushel plus corn, and the yield is this type of dirt. When the rainfall we had, we probably would have did 150, maybe 160 bushels, but it's going to push it another 50 or 60 bushels per acre easy.
Pushing agriculture in this area to new heights motivated new association member Nick Morris to join the organization.
It's a lot of hard work. It's taught me to be focused and try to encourage other young African Americans to pursue a career in agriculture.
Over the last 2 months, Southern University student Cornelius Jackson has looked over many soybean plants. He has no designs on being a farmer himself. However, because of this band of brothers who have rooted themselves in both their community and in agriculture, he is now interested in other opportunities in ag.
I'd rather get into the business side of it. Maybe if hopefully I get a job in Monsanto's and be a representative. But as of being a farmer, I don't think I want to be a farmer, but it is important for me to know about everything that goes on as being a farmer.
And having spent a little time with Cornelius, I know he'll do just that. The Morehouse Parish Black Farmers and Landowners Association offers its internship in cooperation with the Southern University Ag Center. The association also offers a scholarship for incoming freshmen who are interested in pursuing careers in agriculture. If you'd like more information about the organization and the fine work that they do there, please log on to our website at twilatv.org. And guys, it's so fascinating to see that spark be created in a young person's eyes who may not have thought about agriculture as a career.
Well, I know that you've been covering this for a number of years. I'm not going to say how many. I'll let you do that one. But how has it grown? How has it changed in the years that you've covered it, AJ?
Well, I've been covering it for about 12 years. And when I started it, it was about 30 to 35 people. And now, this last time I covered it, it was nearly 300 people showed up for the lunch. So it has grown exponentially over the years.
Well, let's see if it catches on in other parishes. Thank you very much, AJ Sabine. Well, USDA experts expected corn acres across the country to increase this year by at least 7%.
Despite the optimistic prediction, corn growers here in Louisiana will not likely share that positive view, all because of historic flooding this spring. According to the USDA's June 30th World Agriculture Supply and Demand Report, soybean acres increased by 100,000 acres here in Louisiana, a trend against a predicted national rise in corn acres. LSU Ag Center Professor of Ag Economics Mike Delaberto explains that back in March, the USDA expected nearly 730,000 acres of corn to be planted across Louisiana. However, when you consider the historic flooding that swept away corn in early March, everyone expected fewer acres of corn in north central Louisiana and eastern Louisiana.
As that corn planting window closed, a lot of producers still couldn't get into their fields, so alternative crops were going to be planted there, and particularly soybeans. And as of early April, only about half of Louisiana's corn crop was planted, which, if you look at a 5-year trend, that mid-April number should push 75–80% of that crop being planted at the time. If you fast forward to the June 30th acreage report that USDA put out, the corn acres in Louisiana was 630,000 acres. So a 100,000 acre decrease in the plantings of corn in the state, and we can't say with a high degree of certainty that that was a result of the floods, but certainly the floods were a major contributing factor to that corn reduction in the state.
Even though ag economists have seen an uptick in export sales as U.S. corn becomes more competitive because of the wet conditions in Brazil, it's still not enough to increase the production numbers that USDA has estimated for the U.S. Well, cotton acres are up in Louisiana this year.
Farmers across the state planted about 150,000 acres of cotton, up 30% from 2015. What is still hurting Louisiana cotton farmers remains price. That's why the USDA is providing a one-time targeted assistance to farmers through the Cotton Ginning Cost Share Program. The deadline to apply is right around the corner, August 5th. According to Louisiana Farm Service Agency Executive Director Craig McCain, farmers and landowners in Louisiana who apply for the program can expect a payment of $56 per acre.
Producers can expect a payment based on their interest in 2015 planted cotton as reported to the Farm Service Agency, along with that applicable payment rate. So it's a pretty simple program.
To learn more about the Cotton Ginning Cost Share Program, you can visit our website at twilatv.org. Could there soon be 2 markets for sugar?
At least one commodity specialist believes that's the direction the market is going, and it's not good. Craig Ruffalo recently outlined what's causing the split in the sugar market while speaking to Louisiana sugarcane farmers in New Orleans. Ruffalo says it's increasing demand for sugar derived from non-GMO sources and decreased demand for sugar from GMO sources. Louisiana sugarcane cane is not genetically modified, and it's fetching a premium in the markets, while sugar derived from genetically modified sugar beets is seeing reduced demand. Ruffalo says it's going to be tough to educate consumers on the fact that a sugar molecule carries no genetic material.
The genie's out of the bottle. How do you put it back in? Because any study you might present might be singly looked at as biased because, hey, you're sponsoring your own self-interest, and therefore how could it be truthful? So we're challenged with how we educate the young consumer, the millennials that want transparency in labeling as to the real ramifications of what going backwards in technology would be.
American Sugarcane League General Manager Jim Seamall says if beet sugar growers end up forfeiting sugar because of the lack of demand, the entire sugar industry would suffer.
Still to come on TWILA, how chasing fake animals can help people who raise the real ones.
But first, we hit the vineyards of the Delta to pick grapes. Stay with us.
Communities across Louisiana are linked by agriculture, but it's the diversity of the industry that makes our state so great.
One crop not often associated with Louisiana is grapes. This week, TWILA's Karl Wiggers takes us to Northeast Louisiana's only vineyard where the community plays an important part in winemaking.
These golden clusters are the foundation for Landry Vineyards Blanc du Bois wine.
Today is our harvest of Blanc du Bois. This is, of course, once a year that we harvest Blanc du Bois. All the grapes are harvested generally at the same time, although this year we kind of have a split harvest between some younger vines and some older vines. But we'll be harvesting anywhere from 30 to 40 tons of Blanc du Bois today. Not today, but over the next several days.
Landry Vineyards is nestled in the rolling hills of West Monroe. Owner Jeff Landry works on the crushing pad, and his wife Libby works here in the vineyard picking clusters of grapes.
We usually can harvest about 5 tons per day. It's all hand picked, so it's a lot of labor, a lot of tough work that needs to be done. But you know, we are convinced, and much of the industry is convinced, that some of the best wines are produced from hand-picked fruit.
Though the fruit is essential for the flavor, all of the labor to hand pick this fruit comes from the community surrounding this vineyard. Each year, Landry invites his local neighbors to help harvest these grapes.
Well, the first thing we do is let everybody know at church that we're going to be harvesting our grapes, you know. So there's quite a bit of youth that comes out and helps us there. And then there's just a lot of other relationships here in the community, whether that's our kids' friends or just different relationships, people who need work, people who might be in between jobs.
Helping those in the community who need work is just one of the ways that Landry hopes his vineyard will impact Northeast Louisiana.
We really appreciate or want the winery to be that to our community, a blessing to the community. Whether that's our concerts, whether that's employment, just having a great experience with wine out here. We want people to come and be blessed through their participation at Landry Vineyards.
Landry is very excited about this year's harvest. His sugar levels in the grapes were exactly where he needed them for the wine that these grapes will make. Something else he's really looking forward to is their upcoming Blanc du Bois Stomp Fest happening on August 13th. There will be live music, food, and of course, plenty of wine. For more information about Landry Vineyards or this event, visit our website at twilatv.org in Avery. It's a really pretty site, and Kristen, you've been there. You know what the celebrations, the parties are like. It's a family atmosphere. Will you be planning on going with me?
I will never pass up a chance to go to Landry's, but those events, it blew my mind the first time I went to one because I had no idea that many people, and not just people from around there, people from Shreveport, across the state, people come to that event, so it's a great way to do agritourism in Northeast Louisiana.
I heard Monica say that even her dad was wanting to come up for it from
Wow.
Ponchatoula,
Yeah.
so it's going to be really a neat event.
Yeah, Monica's our graphic designer, so that's who he's talking about. Yeah, thank you very much, Karl Wiggers. In this week's Trending on TWILA segment, we take you online to see what people are posting about agriculture on social media.
And unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably heard all about the Pokemon Go game craze that's sweeping across social media and online.
In fact, it seems as though everyone in America is running around trying to catch virtual Pokemon characters. According to BBC News, Pokemon Go has been one of the most downloaded phone apps in history, with more than 20 million users playing the game each day.
And okay, so you're probably wondering, what does all this Pokemon nonsense have to do with agriculture? Well, apparently, there are actually Pokemon farmers inside the game. These are people who spend hours each day hunting down the Pokemon critters for players who cannot devote that much time to playing the game.
Farmers in other games too. However, Pokemon players in rural areas say they are having a tough time locating as many characters as those who live in higher population areas.
Some of the online gaming tip sites list local farmland as good places to locate the harder to find Pokemon. But Farmers Weekly magazine warns players to steer clear of farms because of safety concerns and trespassing hazards.
While I don't know how many farmers have the time or the desire to join in on the game, the craze has inspired some pretty popular posts and funny memes from the ag community.
J&K Farms posted this picture with the warning to Pokemon players: please avoid J&K Farms back pasture. Our cows are in heat, and now is really not a good time. The post has been shared more than 53,000 times on Facebook.
Yabaguchi posted this meme: teach your kids the value of hard work so they don't grow up to play Pokemon. This picture racked up more than 2 million views in just 2 days.
We posted an interesting article on our page with 5 reasons Pokemon Go is good for farmers. So check it out when you have time.
So what do you think are the best reasons for farmers to be involved in Pokemon Go?
I'm not the best person to ask. I did this on a whim because I thought I was going to see if I could make a connection. That meme actually inspired me, the one with the bull. And so I decided to do a little research to see if I could make a connection, and I was surprised that I could. So I don't know. I have a confession that I don't play it.
You don't play it? I see. I don't play Pokemon Go. I played the old ones, but we're not going to go down that road. I'm geeky enough on the show as it is.
Well, that leads me to move on to this week's TWILA Trivia. Last time I asked you, in less than a year, Facebook added about how many users? And the correct answer is B, 200 million. This week's trivia question is: which of the following is not one of the original Pokemon characters? Is it A, Pikachu, B, Jigglypuff, or C, Bovaraptor? To enter this week's trending trivia contest, simply log on to your Facebook or Twitter account and post your answer with the hashtag TWILATrivia, or you can always submit your answer on our website at twilatv.org. Well, still to come on TWILA, we've got a few pats on the back. Stay with us. Around 1,300 FFA members gathered in Monroe for their 87th annual convention.
That was in June, when students traveled from across the state to showcase their skills and celebrate their accomplishments in agriculture. The excitement seen in these young leaders is the result of their passion for agriculture and leadership that is fostered by the FFA. Tyler Aitken of Ponchatoula says his time serving as state vice president helped shape him into the leader he is today. As his understanding of the ag industry has grown, so has his appreciation for the farmers and ranchers who provide us with food and fiber.
I was raised in an urban area, and I was not even aware of what agriculture stood for and, you know, those different things that go into it. But after I got into the FFA and I learned from these state officers, I became a state officer. I learned from national officers. I learned from different people like from Farm Bureau and different federations how important it is that I want to pursue a career in agriculture, and so that I can get that message out.
FFA members also participated in a community service initiative during the convention. Students volunteered to package meals for senior citizens at the Northeast Louisiana Food Bank in Monroe.
Around the same time, the 4-H organization held its annual seminar and awards program. The program recognized the bright young minds who participate in 4-H with scholarships and other awards. This year, our own Neil Melancon was the MC of the event. He had to play double duty, accepting an award on behalf of the Louisiana Farm Bureau, which was recognized for its ongoing contributions to the youth program. Farm Bureau contributes both time and money to 4-H, which in turn helps develop rural youth in becoming farmers and leaders. A link to more pictures from the 4-H Awards and more information about that organization can be found at our website at twilatv.org. On that note, that does it for this edition of TWILA. Be sure to join us next week when we'll have Avery's final installment from his trip to Cuba.
Until then, you can watch all of our stories online at twilatv.org, and be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
For all of us here at TWILA, thanks for joining us. We hope to see you again right here next week.